Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Cole. It's late Saturday evening, February 3rd. I'm getting this announcement out a day earlier than usual. This will be the announcement for week 4 for Political Science 1013 for the spring 2024 term. Okay, most of you all will be seeing this, I'm sure, on Sunday the 4th. We have our exam coming up Friday the 9th, our first exam, which we need to discuss a little bit. I wanted to finish up our discussion of the class notes for Unit 2. Remember, you'll be responsible for the class notes for Units 1 and 2, plus 4 articles to be accessed online that I need to discuss with you briefly before we wind up tonight. We had started talking about Unit 2. It covers political parties and pressure groups. We had talked about the material on political parties last time. Pressure groups resemble political parties in that they try to influence the government, but there are many, many hundreds or perhaps even thousands of pressure groups, whereas there are only 2 major parties. We try to go through the different categories of pressure groups and then look a bit at what pressure groups do, what kinds of activities they engage in. It's worth emphasizing most pressure groups are in it for the sake of the economic interests of their members, most but not all. Some represent themselves as public interest groups, although very often there will be skepticism about what really is in the public interest or not, of course. It's a fair statement to say for every product in the economy, for every service provided, every profession, every occupation, just about, there's a group organized on behalf of the interests of those who provide that service or practice that profession or make that product. Anything in the economy, any job done, any product or service made, there'll be a pressure group on behalf of the people who provide that. Okay, so there are many, many of them. It's so many it's difficult to count. Some, for instance, serve as both professional organizations and pressure groups. In the class notes, we go through several categories. There's business, labor, agriculture, the tech world, government lobbying itself, one level of government lobbying another. And there are all kinds of pressure groups out there. We try to mention some of the larger ones. Okay. The Farm Bureau, the AARP, the AFL-CIO, the Chamber of Commerce, the National Federation of Independent Business, and so on and so forth. Okay. These are at the top. Okay. But there are many smaller, narrower ones under the umbrella of some of those larger organizations. So it's worth taking a look and familiarizing yourself with some of the major pressure groups. Pressure groups, by and large, engage in lobbying. They used to be known as lobbies, but since they engaged in other activities, the term pressure group or interest group caught on with political scientists. Pressure groups engage in advertising and public relations. They dole out money to try to curry favor with, for instance, members of Congress serving on committees and subcommittees that would influence their interests. But the main thing we identify pressure groups with is lobbying, often done by professional lobbyists, but not necessarily. An individual citizen could engage in lobbying, but we have an image of members of Congress on Capitol Hill interacting with professional lobbyists, and it's their job to go before that member and represent the interests of the membership of the group that they represent. Lobbying perhaps has a negative connotation with the public. It's associated with corruption, and some corruption does occur. But professional lobbyists would tell you their main job is to provide accurate, reliable information to the members with which they're dealing on behalf of the positions that they support. They're mainly researchers, they might say. Okay. And there's a good bit of overlap between professional lobbyists and the people who work on congressional staff, committee staff, subcommittee staff, the staff of individual members, sometimes what we refer to as the Washington revolving door. They're all engaged in the same kind of work, although that, of course, can be compromising and present a conflict of interest. But they are all researchers, okay, providing information. All right, so much for that. Our exam will be Friday the 9th. May take it any time in those 24 hours, midnight to midnight on the 9th. There will be 50 items, mostly true, false, some multiple choice, based on the class notes for Units 1 and 2, plus 4 articles you've been asked to look at online. Let me run through those very briefly, and let me emphasize, everybody, if you have not clicked on and accessed these yet, please do so well in advance of the exam. You have a week. Okay, please don't wait till the last minute. If you have trouble accessing any of these, contact me. I will get the text to you. I don't believe you'll have any trouble, but if you do, contact me. But in any case, the 4 articles are by Yanni Applebaum from the Atlantic Monthly from a couple of years ago, 2018. Americans aren't practicing democracy anymore. Okay. He believes Americans largely have fallen out of the democratic habit. And this goes back to what we say in Unit 1 about different forms of participation. Okay. Now, look carefully at what he thinks ought to be done about it. He has some ideas about what the schools should do. You might think this would involve better high school civics courses, but see if that's what he says. Pay very close attention to what he says about that. You have an article about the upcoming election from The Guardian, a London newspaper that many people read in the United States online. And it sort of gives an overview of the election and the apprehensions that many people have about whether there'll be a happy outcome to the 2024 election. Will everyone be satisfied and accept the result? Whoever wins, there's some reason to doubt that. But do take a look at that by reporter David Smith in The Guardian about the upcoming election. Then you have 2 pieces about the political parties. One of the things you have is an excerpt from a new book by Patrick Ruffini. Now, he's talking about much the same sort of issue that we were talking about for our discussion, except Ruffini is a Republican, whereas John Judas and Rui Teixeira were Democrats. They're really talking about the same sort of thing going on. So take a look at that piece by Ruffini. And the last one is by Tevi Troy, T-R-O-Y, Troy, about what's going on with the political parties. He talks about party dissolution. But he says we're liable not to see the Democrats and Republicans go away. As we go from one decade to the next, we'll find, as we look back over time, that they're different than what the Democrats and the Republicans used to be. But what will happen is they'll still be called Republicans and Democrats because our system gives such a built-in advantage to those 2 major parties that have developed in our country. So take a look at that. And again, everyone, please go ahead as soon as you can and copy those 4 links and be sure that those articles can come up. You may wish to print them out. If you have trouble accessing any of them, contact me, and I'll get the text of that to you. We'll see about it. But you need to see about that and get started on the reading before the exam so we can straighten that out if you have any trouble. All right, then. So that will be Friday, the exam, 50 items, an hour to take the exam, anytime from midnight to midnight, Friday the 9th. And so a day or 2 after that, I'll be talking to you once again about our material for the midterm exam, which is going to include units on the media and the Constitution. So we want to jump right into that after our first exam, which we'll be talking to you, and we'll talk to you about the midterm material about a week from now at this time. So study hard. Good luck on that exam. I thought everyone did well on the discussion. We've had 2 of them now. Good luck on the exam. Take it easy, study hard, and I'll be talking to you once again after the exam about a week from now.